Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, EJ Menswear and Shamrock Thoroughbreds.
As they race up the hill towards the finish, hark the herald here, Umpere Pass has absolutely bolted up under Paul Town, and Umpere Pass won by wide margin. On the final 150 yards, it's Irish point for Marie National, who's coming with every stride. They're going to the line. Irish point, Marie National on the near side.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. We look forward to reading all your hashtag 5cast selections in the comments section below. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
Season 6, episode 14, which means it is the Christmas Champ.ie special. Happy Christmas to one and all, and a big happy Christmas to you, Barry. Before we get into what's coming up, of course, we've got a fantastic show. We'll be looking at our 5cast. Gordon Elliott's going to be on the show this week. We've lots to fit in, and happy Christmas to you, bud. And as well as that, of course, we've mixed it up, as you said, the 12 horses of Christmas. We're going to be talking about those, as well, of course, as telling you about the Golf Taestes deal to get your tickets, 33% off those. But firstly, Baz, massive happy Christmas to you.
Massive happy Christmas, Dave, and of course a happy new year to yourself and all the I suppose the viewers and the listeners who've been very, very I suppose good with their comments underneath right throughout the course of the year on Mondays and Thursdays. The participation has been absolutely brilliant, Dave. So we're so grateful, I suppose, on the Champ.ie podcast for everyone that gets involved, posting their 5cast down below. And I suppose the winner of our latest 5cast draw, Darren Murphy. I can tell you are going to the Golf Taestes Chase, 2 tickets for, of course, Gowran Park on the 23rd of the month. And we look forward to our 5cast draw, Dave, of course, which is coming up in January as well. So festive 5casts, that's the first part of the show, Dave. But as you mentioned, really looking forward. We're going to switch things up a little bit with our 12 horses of Christmas. We're going to try point our viewers, of course, in the right direction this Christmas. And 12 horses that we're looking forward to over the Christmas period outside of the 5cast. But really looking forward to it, Dave. I suppose overall, Constitution Hill versus Lossiemouth. It looks like we're going to see it. We're speaking obviously before Dex, and the Savills Chase as well. It's an all Willie Mullins affair. Galopin the Champ versus Factifile. It's has the makings of a Kiddo Star versus Denman. That sort of a scenario.
Absolutely. And the 5 races for the 5cast this week are, of course, the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton, the KingGeorge at Kempton, the Welsh Grand National at Chepstow on the 27th, the Paddy Power Handicap Chase listed contest 3:35 on the 27th, and the Savills Chase, the Grade 1, 2:35 on the 28th. Barry, we've been very much thrown a Christmas cracker, Constitution Hill and Lossiemouth, and I think I know which camp you're in, considering colours you're wearing on the show this week.
I said to you, I don't know if it's because there might be a girl on the way, or is it the fact that Constitution Hill has taken on Lossiemouth, and we're very much in the Lossiemouth camp. I don't think they've, in truth, there's a horse in training that's able to give this Lossiemouth £7 over 2 miles on nicer ground around the likes of Kempton. She absolutely hammered to Upo, didn't she, in his own backyard? We double napped her heading into the Hatton's Grace. She stays further than 2 miles. She has the speed. We saw that between 2 out in the last, where she really picked up. She went and winged the last and put Upo to bed very, very easily in the Hatton's Grace. I think that's the best form on offer. That was the first run. That was her first run of the season as well. And it's worth noting that a fit Constitution Hill, like this is his first run of the season as well. So if you look at, I suppose, the race situation, I mean, everything looks to me like it's in her favour. She's getting weight. She's had the benefit of a run. And I think she's going to take the world of beating, Dave. And I know you're of similar opinion.
I certainly am. But the question I'm going to ask you right now, like if Constitution Hill was to come out right and win this Christmas hurdle, would this go down as one of the finest pieces of training by Nicky Henderson, simply because he's been off for so long, had his issues, had his problems, and if he was to get this horse back for the Christmas hurdle, it would be some piece of training. I don't see it happening, but I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah, look, I don't see it happening myself, and I think Sprinter Sacre, in terms of training performance, I don't think that'll be topped the Queen Mother Champion Chase. That was a serious training performance by Nicky. Constitution Hill, look, at his best, I'm not sure whether he'd be able to give Lossiemouth £7. I'm really not, and I think there's every chance we're looking at I reckon there'll be odds on in places. Lossiemouth for the champion hurdle off the back of the Christmas hurdle. And let's hope we do see the clash. Sergino going chasing, we heard this morning, Dave, as we're recording before Dex, looks a positive for Constitution Hill backers. But at 11-10, I think take every little piece of odds against you can, both for the champion and for the Christmas hurdle at Kempton.
Well, we've got a fascinating KingGeorge to look forward to. It has so many dynamics to it, with Spillans Tower in there. Little question mark over how the ground will be. Grey Dawning, Ile Francais, Banbridge, Corbett's Cross, La Homme Press, they're all in there. But Barry, it's fascinating in so many ways, because Spillans Tower, look at the performance in the John Durkin against Factifile and Galopin the Champ. That was some piece of form. But I know you are quite keen on the chances of Banbridge for Joseph O'Brien.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is the best piece of form on offer, that John Durkin, in truth, Dave, because Banbridge, don't forget, he was given £10 to an Ergamine in the Hillyway down in Cork over a trip plenty short on ground that probably wasn't even to his ideal liking. So Banbridge, I mean, he's won a Kempton in the past. I mean, he's 6 from 8 on good ground in his career. Everything seems to be in Banbridge's favour. I have to say at 5-1, I think he's a model each way. I don't think we'll get the 14 runners, though, because you mentioned the ground. Look, Spillans Tower, Grey Dawning, Ile Francais, would they all like the ground to be a little bit softer? Spillans Tower's by walk in the park, and he's quite looking at, suppose, the dam side as well. I don't think the ground will actually be as big a concern to him as it will be the likes of Grey Dawning or Ile Francais, who I would question both of their preparation for the race. Grey Dawning had a very hard race, you'd have to imagine, at Haydock. I don't know, is that an ideal prep or an ideal trial for the KingGeorge in this day and age? And Ile Francais obviously pulled up last time. So just looking at one of the bigger price, I will throw him into the mix because he was supplemented. He's 20-1. He's shortened him from 25s. If someone wanted one of the big price to give you a good spin for your money, I think Paddy Neville, who's stable, is in absolutely cracking form at the moment, Dave. The Real Whacker is a horse that I think still doesn't get the credit he deserves. And last season, don't forget, if you're going to throw stones at the Real Whacker last season, don't forget he did win the Brown Advisory, beat Jerry Calam, who placed in a Gold Cup on ground that was more in Jerry Calam's favour than the Real Whacker's favour. The Real Whacker did not get his ground at any stage last season. He's coming in off the back of a win, of course, in the Charity Hall. So he could surprise a few at a big price at 20-1. Do not give up on him just yet. Banbridge, though, I think it's the solid selection. And I genuinely think that was a really good piece of form from the Hillyway in Cork. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, Banbridge, simply because he's so ground dependent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Paddy Neville's stable. And lovely 40-1 winner of the opening race at Newcastle last Saturday. It's loosed up, and he's had a couple of really nice performances as well over the smaller obstacles during the week. And absolutely, it could be a very interesting runner at a big price. But I think Spillans Tower, if he does line up there, I think he'll be bang there in the KingGeorge. That's my thoughts on it. But it's a fascinating contest. Right, we're going to move on because we have to look at the big one at Chepstow, which is, of course, on the 27th of December. It's the 3 mile, 6 furlongs Welsh Grand National Premier Handicap, with a current going on the ground description as soft there at Chepstow. But Barry, you have a slight feeling that might change just before the big race with the weather the way it is forecast at the moment.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw good in the ground description in some shape or form, because look, it's soft. It always is very, very testing, isn't it? It's kind of unprecedented, really, that we might have good in the ground description. But there is no rain scheduled between now and the 27th. We've been attempting to do the Welsh National Paddy Power Chase double on this podcast for a long time, Dave. So maybe this year is the year. Let's get on with it. I suppose the 250 at Chepstow on the 27th, 3 mile, 6 furlongs. And 22 runners left in at this stage. Monbeg Genius, look, that'll appreciate the ground drying out. John O'Neill has 2 runners left in the race, 9-2 Monbeg Genius. Nick Schofield, though, will ride the favourite. Gallia Delato, Jubilee Express, both interesting. Jubilee Express, we heard from Sam Thomas on the show, of course, building up to Ascot at the last weekend. Or this weekend as we're recording, Dave. Jubilee Express, he would have liked to have got a run into Jubilee Express. He's very, very lightly raced over fences, haven't had just the 4 starts. He's of interest, but the question is, will he be fit enough to go and win first time up on his very first run? Sam Thomas did do it a couple of seasons ago, of course, with I Will Do It, who came into the race fresh as well. So I would respect him. Iron Bridge is the selection, though. Second set to Nasalam off a £6 higher mark last Christmas. I thought that was a cracking run. He just ran into a very, very well handicapped horse in Nassalam. Just looking, I suppose, at the ground drying, I don't think that's going to inconvenience Ironbridge, even though John Joe has said that he probably thinks he's a better horse on softer ground, but he has won twice when good has been in the ground description. I think he's well treated. He'll be off a nice weight, and he has had that prep run as well at Carlisle. So I think he's going in under the radar, John Joe Neal's. What's deemed that the market has it that he's the second string, but John Joe Neal Jr., I'm sure, will be on board as Nick Schofield rides Mom Big Genius. So 10-1 Ironbridge, I think, will give a good account of himself, Dave. So I would quite fancy him to run a big race each way. Yes, so hello, Barry Doyle from the Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's Plenty of Horse Racing podcast. I'm here with my co-host, David Byrnes, and we're here in Sligo Town, David, in EJ Menswear and EJMenswear.com. Fantastic season ahead. EJ has kindly partnered up with us to be the men's fashion partner with Champ.ie for the season. And David, we're suited and booted. You're looking sharp.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. And this fantastic bundle and this outfit we're wearing is costing $2.99. It sets you up beautifully for the racing season ahead, which includes Leopardstown at Christmas, Thyesda's Day at Gowran Park, and of course, if you want to go even bigger, you can get togged out for the Cheltenham and entry festivals later on in the season.
Absolutely, and of course, check out the Champ.ie podcast right throughout the season, Mondays and Thursdays, and look at the offer, the tailored bundle for the racing season, $2.99, blazer, shirt, chino, socks and shoes. What's not to like, lads? Check out ejmenswear.com to find out all the racing offers.
Yeah, EJ Menswear. And if you haven't got your loved ones some presents yet and you're looking for some ideas, go on to ejmenswear.com. I tell you what, you won't be disappointed if you want to get some nice clothes there. And of course, Eddie Scally at Gowran Park, he's got some nice offers for you as well. 33% off the Goffs Thyesda's tickets, which takes place on the 23rd of January. And of course, we've got... just to mention as well, well done to Stephen Thorne and Shamrock Thoroughbreds while we're on our sponsors. Another double for him at Dundalk last Friday night. And of course, Boylesports, our betting partner, they're going to have you well covered for all the prices over Christmas as well. Barry, let's move on. Two more races to look at in the fivecast selection. And next, we're going to look at the big handicap chase on the 27th at 3:35. It's the listed contest. It's a cracker. Look, it's one of these races. You're going. I was looking at this, and I give a good hour trying to go down through it, trying to, what will I pick? What will I decide to go on? So many in here maybe aren't in the greatest of form, but there's so many in here with quite a bit of potential. I know one that we've kind of both come down on the side of is a horse by the name of Panda Boy. And you're going to tell us why we like this horse for the big handicap chase on the 27th.
Yeah, I remember having Martin Brazel, of course, on the Champ.ie podcast to Punchestown, the John Durkin last season, and the big target for Panda Boy was the Paddy Power at Christmas, and he really loves it around Leopardstown. He always seems to give a good account of himself, Panda Boy at Leopardstown, second in the of course in this race last year on unsuitable ground. So I mean, when Panda Boy gets decent ground, which it looks like he will do at Leopardstown over Christmas, you know, could we see more improvement? I mean, he's £3 higher on ratings than what he was last season. And of course, he did run into Meeting of the Waters last year, who went on to win the race by 4 lengths. He's got up plenty in the ratings since, Dave. He's officially rated 149, so he'll have plenty of weight. Panda Boy, 11 stone 5. Ricky Doyle looks like he'll be on board as well. He's had a prep run at Limerick. And look, this has been the target once again for Martin Brazel, and you wouldn't bet against Panda Boy. Look, he's 10-1. You're getting a good each way. You get a good double figure price for each way backers here. Panda Boy would be the selection. Just another one to mention as well. I'm fascinated to see how Nick Rocket gets on, because I don't think we saw the best Nick Rocket whatsoever on heavy ground at Fairyhouse last Easter. And I'd say, look, even though he's rated 150, I'd say there could still be more to come from him, but he's short enough in the betting. Panda Boy each way for me.
Yeah, and another one that might be of interest in the contest is Noel Mead's Pinkerton. That's a horse that will love to get a bit of cover. He'll get it in this big field, and in around 12-1 as well. Has to be a bit of each way value in there. That second behind found a 50 at Down Royal last time out. Pinkerton, I wouldn't be ruling that out for an each way selection if you're looking for something at a bit of value there. But it's a cracking race to look forward to on the 27th. Let's move on then, Barry, to the final race in the fivecast. This is on the 28th of December. It's the Savills Chase. It's the Grade 1 you've mentioned. We're going to have the big duel at Kempton, fingers crossed, on the 26th. But this is the big one on the 28th, because Galopin and Champ back the file. We're both hoping that they will be there again and be taking each other on in what should be another cracking showdown.
Should be, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is his back garden, isn't it? Galopin the Champ, lots has been made of that. And last year at Christmas, I don't think I can remember as good a performance around Leopardstown at Christmas of what Galopin the Champ put up in the Savills chase last season. But speaking of back gardens, I mean, Factifile doesn't exactly hate it around Leopardstown. He's 3 from 4 at the track. I think he's the new kid in the block. I have to say, I think this could be a changing of the guards, Dave. If you look at, I suppose, Galopin the Champ, he's had plenty of racing. I know he's just 8 years of age. There could be more still to come from him, but there's lots of mileage in the legs. And Factifile, I just really loved his attitude from the back of the last at Punchestown. There was every single excuse for him to be run down by Spillane Tower, who came with a late effort, and he just battled back from 50 yards to the line. That's what I loved about the performance. I mean, he drifted like a barge in the morning in the betting, and we saw last year what he done, Dave. I suppose at Navan in his first start, improving from Navan to his second run last season was he improved so much from run 1 to run 2. So I mean, if that's the case once again, it's scary to think what sort of a performance he could potentially put up at Christmas. So he's a brilliant jumper, no issue with I suppose the ground or the distance here. He loves Leopardstown. I have to say he's 7-4 second favourite. I reckon he'll go off favoured, even though Galopin the Champ absolutely loves Leopardstown and his record here. I think they'll flip-flop, and I think it'll be a changing of the guard.
Right, we are heading into our next ad break, and right after this, we're going to be looking at the 12 horses of Christmas.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran Park is your number one choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2025 takes place on Thursday the 23rd of January. With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit GowranPark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you to Gowran Park this winter.
150 yards to go, Glendooley, and ain't that a shame from Angel's Dawn? Ain't that a shame is going on to win the Goffs Thyestes, pulling out every stop from Glendooley.
Yes, and of course, save 33% on your Goffs Thyestes early bird tickets. And of course, we had Eddie on the show a couple of weeks ago, Dave, and building up the Christmas day for all the last minute shoppers watching the Champ.ie podcast. What a good opportunity to get 33% off the biggest standalone, I suppose, midweek Irish fixture in the calendar season. Really good day. And of course, always a big day down in County Kilkenny, Carlow, and County Waterford, the southeast of Ireland. Really looking forward to being down there, Dave. And of course, the morning line show before racing.
Absolutely. And after dark, and the very special guest, Mickey Joe Hart as well, will be playing on Thyestes Day. So great entertainment both on and off the track. Right, Barry, we've mixed it up a little bit on the Christmas special. We're going to take a look at the 12 horses of Christmas. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts on these 12. Let's start off with number 1, Calix del Abier. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This very expensive store horse, and of course was a good winner, Barry, of a Ballon Road bumper. And we know, or we should tell if they don't know, what was second was a horse by the name of Shullin for Paddy Toomey. Absolutely bolted up, didn't it, at Cheltenham. And Barry, this runs in the, entered at least in the 12 o'clock on the opening day at Leopardstown.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me Calix del Bade, as Jerry Hannon would say. Let's hopefully will be, listen, this Calix del Abier, I think is if you look at, I suppose, its form, and, Mystical Power won the exact sale bumper at Ballon Road last season, could be coming in under the radar for a race like this. Obviously, this maiden won by some nice types in the past, the 12 o'clock on St. Stephen's Day, of course, at Leopardstown. Classical Dream won the race in the past, and that went in under the radar as well. So, speedy pedigree. You mentioned the second Shullin come out and bolted up at Cheltenham since. The good ground. I was particularly impressed with the turn of foot that Calix del Abier showed. Of course, at Ballon Road in that bumper. Was on decent ground, stacked them up, turning in, and showed them a clean pair of heels. And I have to admit, Dave, I've had a nibble for the Supreme Novices Hurdle at 66-1. There's big prices still available. But yeah, Calix de la Bière. If Paul Townend's, of course, mightn't be on board because he could be in Kempton for Lossiemouth. That's likely where he will be. So would it be Danny Mullins, perhaps, as a good relationship, of course, won the Goffs Tiestes chase aboard Total Recall. This one, obviously owned by the Slaneyville syndicate. So yeah, best of luck to the lads. Calix de la Bière, I think, could be quite smart, Dave. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this one on St. Stephen's Day. He is entered up, of course, over 2.5 miles as well. But looking at the speed that he showed, I reckon we'll see him at 12 o'clock on St. Stephen's Day.
Right, let's move on to the second horse of the 12 we're going to look at. And this is an Albert Bartlett contender. That's this horse, the big Westerner, Barry, and entered up at Limerick on the 26th in a 2-mile 7.
Yeah, she really impressed me when winning a hot maiden, Dave, at Punchestown. Look, on the Monday show, we put her up for the Albert Bartlett. Look, I think, was it only 3 mares in the last 10 years have actually run in the Albert Bartlett? So I'm not entirely sure, but connections did say that this was the target at Limerick, of course, in the 133 on the 26th St. Stephen's Day, of course, over 2 mile and 7.5 furlongs. The ground will be softer at Limerick than it will be anywhere else. And yeah, the big Westerner, look, she's related to Stay Away Faye. I think she is an Albert Bartlett contender if she goes and wins a contest like this. She was really good from 50 yards to the line. I'd say there's a lot more to come from her. It was a hot maiden. Argento Boy was in there. Of course, won a bumper for Willie Mullins at Fairyhouse last season. So I think the form looks strong enough, and stepping up and trip is the angle with her. So the big Westerner, I think Jerry lost his breath in the final 50 yards. And I think a lot of people were very taken by this big Westerner. I think she could be quite smart. Looking forward to her.
Yes, absolutely. Number 3, Cruise Control, trained by Tom Lacey. And of course, this Cruise Control has been, well, I think been given a very nice patient approach by Tom Lacey. Obviously, the Grand National, Barry, would be the main plan, but would need to win again, you feel, to be involved in that. But Cruise Control in the 135 Weatherby on the 26th of December, I think around 4-1 for that race.
You mentioned patience, because I think Tom Lacey has had to be very, very patient with Cruise Control, because it was fancy for the Beecher. Well, we fancied it, of course, at Aintree, and has won, of course, at the Aintree Festival last season. It runs in the 135 at Weatherby on the 26th, currently priced up at 4-1 for the Rowlands Merrick Handicap. And it is its sole entry over the Christmas period as well. Needs another win, definitely, Dave, to get into a Grand National. But that has been mapped out as the main plan by Tom Lacey. I think this is a good horse. It jumps well, travels nicely in its races. And Tom Lacey did say that this horse could be even better on a little bit of nicer ground as well. So, you know, with the ground drying out, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. And obviously, after the Beecher, they've mapped this one out. And yeah, Cruise Control, I think, could still be very well handicapped off 140. So, looking forward to that in the Roland Merrick Handicap chase at Weatherby on 135.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry, I love this fourth selection that we put in the 12 to follow, 12 horses of Christmas, a horse by the name of Adragool. Entered in the 145 at Leopardstown. Talk us through the form of Adragool and what Adragool has been in against in its last number of runs, and how the form has been working out.
Well, I was working, Dave, on Friday, and that listed bumper at Ascot can always trump a very, very smart horse, and Wind Beneath My Wings. Of course, I used to be trained at the Flynn Yard in Ireland, joined David Pipe, and absolutely bolted up by 20 lengths, of course, and is now favourite, I think, with some firms for the champion bumper at Cheltenham in March. And at Listowel back in September, Adragool was second to Wind Beneath My Wings. Was only beaten 5 lengths, travelled into the race nicely. And we've seen what obviously the winners come out and done since, bolting up at Ascot. Been very, very impressive last Friday. And Heads Up was back and forth. That's since come out and was placed, of course, in listed company up at Navan behind Calypso Chance for John McConnell with him on the show. He really holds Heads Up in high regard. And that won a bumper, of course, at Punchestown prior to being listed or placed in listed company. So I think the form, its bumper form, is very, very strong. And it's been given an opening mark for Gavin Cromwell of 123. Made mistakes at Gowran last time on its third run over hurdles, but it did settle better with the application of a hood. So I'd say it could be fairly well treated in that novice handicap, 123 rated Adragool at the 145 at Leopardstown on the 26th. That's definitely on the 12 horses at Christmas list, Dave. And yeah, Adragool, the bumper form looks really, really strong. And I'd say 123. There could be a lot more to come off that type of mark.
Number 5 is a horse by the name of the Blue Room, trained by Ollie Murphy, runs in the 325 or entered in the 325 entry, 26th of December. Sean Bowen, I should say, jocked up on this one already. So very interesting. Second at Drummahan for Michael Kennedy in a point-to-point. And looks a nice recruit bought privately for Bective Stud. So the Blue Room, Barry, very interesting contender, I should say, on the 26th of December.
Yeah, and Ollie does very, very well as well, Dave, with his runners at Aintree. And look, the couple entered in here, but Sean Bones is jocked up on the Blue Room early. So it's in the 325 at Aintree on the 26th. Really looking forward to seeing this runner. Was second in a point-to-point, as you mentioned, at Drummahan. And Ollie really liked this horse when he was on the podcast earlier on this season. So the Blue Room, look, obviously it's a newcomer. We haven't seen him on the track as of yet, but has a nice pedigree, sold privately to Bective. And I'd say he could be smart based on Ollie's words on the show, Dave.
Number 6, Barry, Birdie or Bust. Talk us through why you like Birdie or Bust so much.
Well, I was talking about Birdie or Bust potentially shaping up to something like a Mayor's Chase contender for Henry the Bromhead. It'll just be very interesting to see, because we can see Henry. He's not afraid to run these mares against the geldings. And Birdie or Bust has entered up in the 12:35 at Leopardstown on the 27th. A beginner's chase, by the way, Dave, that Henry has targeted, nice horses at in the past. I think he's won 2 of the last 6 renewals of that particular beginner's chase at Leopardstown. So this horse has pace. She will stay further, I think, than 2 mile and a furlong in time. The mare's chase is 2.5 miles around Cheltenham. Dara O'Keefe on the show this season, very, very complimentary of her. She's plenty of scope for a fence. She jumped beautifully at Navan when she finished 4th in a hot beginners. Norbring was in there, of course, the Galway hurdle winner. King of Kingsfield, I think, was second on that occasion. Down memory lane, hasn't exactly gone on to frank the form, but I think there was excuses off the back of his run in the Henry VIII at Sandown. So if you look back at it, was at that beginner's chase. Spallan's Tower, Dave, was 4th in the race last season. Birdie or Bust was 4th in that same beginners at Navan this season, and he's got on to be favoured for the KingGeorge. So don't be disheartened that she was beaten last time out. I think it was a lovely run, a nice introduction over fences. And don't forget as well, she split Brighterdaysahead and Jade the Grugy last March in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. I think she's smart, and she should be up to winning a race like this.
Amasayan is number 7, Barry, on the list. And of course, a win over the Christmas would very much see Amasayan getting into the Pertemps in Cheltenham in March.
Yeah, it'll need at least one more win, Dave, and maybe a little bit of juice as well from the British handicapper to get into Pertemps. But look, we saw Amasayan. Look, to me, it's the nap of Christmas. It's 7th on the ballot. I think we'll need a couple to come out, but should it get in here off a low weight, I think will be take plenty of beating, of course, Dave, in the 305 at Leopardstown on the 28th. Stepping up in trip, should I say, to 3 miles for the first time. I think stare on the flat, stare over hurdles. That's the old cliche, Dave. And look, rated 91 on the flat. Look, very, very well handicapped, I think, coming into Cheltenham at the November meeting. And off 119, I'd say there's plenty more to come off that type of mark. Quicker ground again. The ground drying is going to suit Tony Martin at Christmas. We know he likes the target one there. And it wouldn't surprise me that at the end of the Cheltenham Festival, if we saw 3 wins beside its name, a win here onto Cheltenham to the Pertemps. And I just think in relation to this race, ticks a lot of boxes, provided gets into the race, I think has a massive chance over Christmas. So Amasayan, the nap of Christmas, I'd say it will get in.
Yes, moving on to number 8 then, Barry. Drop at Tret is the next horse you're going to talk us through. Number 8 on our list.
Yeah, Drop a Tret, second for the point-to-point field. The most gorgeous-looking big black son of triple threat that you've ever seen, Dave. Davy Boland did, we know Davy, a good friend of the show, of course, did a piece, of course, with Donica Doyle on Drop a Tret. So if anyone hasn't seen that, head over to Racing's Inside Track TV. But before his victory in his point-to-point at Castletown Gagan, obviously this was shown plenty at home, and a big Galopin type for Leopardstown. I thought the 2.5 mile bumper at Leopardstown, won by some nice horses in the past. Factifile, of course, won the race, appreciated, carefully selected. This is a strong stayer and has a bit of class about him as well. So he's entered up here a couple of times over Christmas. I just thought this race might be ideal. The 3:30 at Leopardstown on the 28th in the Gigginstown colours. This big black son of Triple Threat, I thought could be quite smart. So drop a threat for Gigginstown and Willie.
Yes, well, horse number 9 that we look at is a horse trained by Paul Nichols, Barry Regent Stroll. Loved his Ascot debut last season, and I think this could be a really, really exciting horse for the Nichols team.
Yeah, I have to agree, Dave. I think this could be the nicest young horse that Paul Nichols has had for a very, very long time, and showed serious ability to win at Newbury on his hurdles debut. I thought after that horrible mistake, any other horse, you wouldn't have been surprised if a horse was beaten after that type of mistake, and travelled very high cruising speed the whole way around, jumped nicely throughout, but really picked up nicely at Newbury off the back of that, really bad mistake. And liked what he showed in bumpers last season, went on, of course, to win under a penalty at Newbury after winning on debut at Ascot. And the Challow probably should be named after Paul Nichols, Dave. At this stage, we've seen the likes of Stage Star, Hermes Allen, and, Brave Man's Game. I'd say this fella could be a lot better than those. I really think he's smart. So Regent Stroll, and the 255 at Newbury, I think is the real deal, to be honest.
Yeah, we move on to number 10, which is Mr. Percy. I'll never forget Mr. Percy down at Gowran. The first day he ran over hurdles, and I had a lovely accumulator done, and Mr. Percy was the first leg. And we all know what he did at that first flight, decided not to go over it. And of course, you know what happened. All the rest of my selection sluiced up.
That's always the way, Dave. Simon Minear, I was actually down in Gowran on the day, and Simon Minear, it's not often you see him in Gowran Park at 11:30 on a Friday in October. They obviously were expecting, this lad to do nice things, and disappointing what happened to him on Gowran, but of course he was a real eye catcher. I thought last time at Navan behind Blue de Vassy, over 2 miles. And they centred up in the 305 handicap debut at Leopardstown on the 29th of December. He's currently 12-1, if anyone wants to avail of it. I just thought, look, he pulled 9 lengths clear to the third at Navan, hit the line. I love the way he ran to the line. And, the further they went in that contest, I thought the better his jumping got. Obviously, this is a step up in handicap company. But, he's won over 1.6 miles on the level and achieved the rating of 88. I just think stepping up and trip to 2 mile 4 furlongs on a good track like Leopardstown is going to really suit Mr. Percy. So I'd say he could be well treated. And he's definitely what I'm interested over Christmas in that handicap, of course, at 305 at Leopardstown on the 29th. He's currently 12-1. So I have to say I'm interested.
Number 11 on our list is a horse by the name of Church Road Prince. Talk us through this one.
They love winners, of course, at Christmas, don't they? The Jonathan Sweeney team, and a maiden winner at over 2 mile and 6 furlongs at Ballinrobe. The second went on, should I say, to win at the Galway Festival. So the form has been frank, Dave. And look, this horse ran over 3 miles in graded company last time on soft ground on his return. I think you can draw a line through that. It was obviously a prep for a handicap over Christmas, and the handicapper has eased them officially £2 to 123. I think he has the necessary pace to win over 2.5 miles. The 12:45 at Leopardstown on the 29th is a novice handicap, and it's a sole entry over the Christmas period. And Michael O'Sullivan knows this horse well. He's been on him on 2 occasions, so I thought it could be nicely treated. Church Road Prince for the Sweeneys at Leopardstown. And when they bring on up to Leopardstown, Dave, you certainly can respect it.
Absolutely. Last but not least, number 12 on our list is Jubilee Alpha, of course. Very, very eye-catching performance, making a hurdles debut in listed level, Barry, over Christmas, which I think makes its own statement, doesn't it, for the chances of this Jubilee Alpha?
I think the big thing to say about Jubilee Alpha, look, obviously you mentioned she was an eye catcher on a hurdles debut at listed company, but third in a very, very hot bumper that's worked out exceptionally well from entry last season, the entry mares bumper. This horse Jubilee Alpha was back in third. Even the 11th in that bumper, Baby Kate, has since come out and franked the form, of course, at Naas last week. And I just think this horse is talented. Should she get her jumping together in the 217 at Taunton on the 30th of December, you'd expect that, she's going to improve. I'm not sure the race will be as hot either, and she should progress. She'll probably be a short enough price, but she went into the tracker. I'd say she could be smart, Dave. Yeah,
there you go. Well, there are your 12 to follow. We'll just flash them up there for you once again. And, if you haven't seen them, there they are, the 12 to follow. And hopefully some of those will put some money in your pocket over Christmas. Right, we're going to head into another break. And right after this, myself and Barry will be back with the NAP selections and next best bets for this Christmas Racing Festive.
From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds have taken owners all over the world.
Tiger Bell in front, holds them. Late on the scene is Dawn Charger storming home, but Tiger Bell in front and won.
Coming through the centre, Laugh a Minute with a strong challenge, and it's Laugh a Minute who goes on in the closing stages to win by a length and a half. Laugh a Minute from Fiscal Roots.
But it's Harry's Bar repelling the late challenge of the stable companion Dream Today, and Harry's Bar makes it 6-course wins.
Check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com or click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description to learn more about new racehorse ownership opportunities.
Yes, well, welcome back. And Shamrock Thoroughbreds, of course, great performance by Stephen Thorne and his team with the double at Dundalk, Barry, on Friday night. It's great. He's starting off flying. He's really beginning to bang in the winners. And, hopefully it continues on into 2025 for him and Shamrock.
Yeah, absolutely, and really looking forward as well to seeing the Gleneagle Bay, of course, smart horse that we might see early in the season in one of those premier handicaps. And really looking forward, I suppose, to continuing the partnership with Shamrock Thoroughbreds for the upcoming new year, of course, Dave, 2025. Really exciting for Stephen.
Absolutely right, Barry. On to the most important part of the show, where we give a nap and a next best selection for the Christmas. I am going to nap Lossiemouth, surprise, surprise. We napped her, of course, to win at Navan, currently an 11 to 10 chance. And I think Fontaine Collonge, currently in putting it forward for a next best each way in the Welsh National on the 27th. Just was so impressed the way it won last time. And I think it's a crack in each bet. If it doesn't line up there, I think it'll win at Wetherby, as Barry said, it won that race last year. And for you, Baz, your selections?
Yeah, three of them, Dave, and Hamsian for the, of course, Tony Martin team we did mention in the Pretemps qualifier. I think we'll take all the beating, and of course another win would probably get it in nice and snugly into the, I suppose, the final in March at the Cheltenham Festival, a race, of course, he has won a good time, Johnny, a couple of seasons ago. So Hamsian to continue the progress on the 28 and the 305 at Leopardstown. Banbridge, Dave, going to side with Banbridge as the next best each way. Now, look, I think the field has every chance we could have a couple of non-runners in here due to the ground. Banbridge will handle the ground, and I think it'll be absolutely bang there at 5-1 in the KingGeorge for Joseph O'Brien. Look, we know he's won Melbourne Cups, he's won Derbies. Let's see, can he win a KingGeorge with Banbridge? 5-1, more than fair, I thought, in the KingGeorge. So each way, the next best. And Ironbridge, David, 10-1 in the Welsh National. Thought there was lots to like. As mentioned, second in the race last season. Ran into Nassalam, who looked an absolute freak on the day, but as mentioned, it's £6 lower this season. Has had the benefit of a run. And for John Joe O'Neill, I think Ironbridge can run a big race in that Welsh National, Dave.
Yeah, super, and good luck with your bets. Right, before we hear from our very special guest, Gordon Elliott, this week, Barry, we're going to just talk through a couple of the highlights from 2024. And firstly, to you, what was your main highlight this year?
Well, my main highlight, Dave, was probably Jimmy Mangan and Spillane Tower. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. The season that Spillane Tower, the progress, we did mention finished fourth in the beginner's chase at Navan and progressed all the way to win 2 Grade 1s at the back end of the season. And the story, to see Jimmy, I suppose, at Fairyhouse get his Grade 1 and to go on and back it up and step up and trip and become a Gold Cup contender this season, I think it's fair to say, at Punchestown by beating Monty Star, who had form, of course, tied in with Factifile, and we've seen that obviously translate onto the track this season in open company. So, Jimmy, fantastic story, and we wish him all the best in the KingGeorge. I think the horse will be banged there. I just think Banbridge is a lot in his favour, but Spillane Spar, I know you're keen on his chances there, but I think overall, look, I know speaking to you off air, you really think Willie Mullins winning the UK Traders Championship was your top moment, but for me, I like to see the small man do well as well. And, Jimmy, small team of horses, great to see it.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. And look, I've been going racing a lot of years, and Jimmy Mangan is one of the biggest gentlemen you will ever meet at a racetrack. He gives time to everybody, no matter what time of the day it is. He will always stop and talk to you. It's fantastic. And yes, you're right. You spoke about my highlight of the year. I just think it's not maybe now, it'll be in a number of years from now that we'll appreciate the magnitude of what Willie Mullins achieved as a trainer in 2024, going across the water, winning the championship, winning it here in Ireland is sensational. And I think he's just broken every record, hasn't he, as part of that game. So, yeah, that was one of my biggest highlights. Right, time to hear from Gordon Elliott, our very special guest this week, who's going to have a busy Christmas.
Yeah, so delighted to be joined by Gordon Elliott once again, of course, on the Champ.ie podcast. Gordon, looking ahead to the Christmas period, I suppose kicking off with Brighter Days Ahead. She lowered the colours of Stateman. How is she all set for the rematch?
Yeah, she's in good form. He'll probably be hard bet the next day with a run, but listen, she was good the last day, and she done a little bit wrong and still won well. She's a good mare.
Jerry Calam, are you praying for rain with him?
Yeah. Oh, listen, once the ground is safe, I don't mind. Look, he's in good form. He's well. He'll do his final bit of work on Friday, and we'll decide whether we run or not. But he seems to be coming back to himself, and we're looking forward to working this weekend.
Fitness-wise, Gordon, do you reckon he's come on a good bit from down Ryle?
He would have come on a good bit. Look, hopefully we get him back to life next day.
Round of 50. Obviously, he's entered on the 27th, Gordon. Second in the Arca last season. Would you see him now as a champion chase contender this year?
Look, that's the road we're going to go to. He tells us different. Look, he hasn't done much wrong this season. He was good last year. He's a horse we're looking forward to. Yeah, look at it. It's a strong enough division. Willie's horse looks like he's going to be very hard to beat. But we'll do our best.
T. Huppu, fantastic in the Hatton's Grace last year. Went on to Cheltenham, of course, to win the Stairs. Is it likely he'll follow the same route?
He'll follow the same route again. Yes, he ran a good race in Fairyhouse. I think he lost much in defeat. I thought it was probably as good as a run as he had last year. But the plan is to go straight to the Stairs now.
Firefox, Gordon, back to 2 miles. Is that likely at this stage?
Yeah, 100%. He'll probably go to Naas on the 5th. He'll go back to 2 miles, yeah, so we look forward to that.
He looks a lovely jumper.
He does, yeah. Look, I probably gave Keith the wrong instructions last day. I told him, probably should have told him when there was no gallop to let him stride along. But look, you can't change what's happened, and we'll look forward to the next day.
And I must mention Stellar Story, obviously won the Albert Bartlett last season at the Cheltenham Festival. Is it all systems go for the 26th at Leopardstown? Yeah,
he'll run in the 3 mile novice chase. He's in good form. Probably would prefer a little bit more rain, but he's in good form, and we're looking forward to running him.
And I suppose, obviously being a relative of the storyteller, he's one that, I suppose, how far do you think he can go over fences, honestly, Gordon?
I think he's a big staying chaser, Look, he won the Albert Park last year. He's a good horse. We're looking forward to running him.
Croke Park, speaking of staying chasers, were you surprised the speed he showed and how well he jumped at in the Drinmore for 2.5?
Yeah, look, he didn't go much of a gallop. I'd say it suited him well. He jumped well, and he got a very clever ride from the front. He'll go for the 14 down in Limerick, so he will. But again, he's in good form. He seems to come out and race well. I'd imagine we'll go to Limerick with him.
A couple of novice herders, Gordon. Romeo Cudio is the plan Christmas, or would you be looking at the Lawlers? What's your thoughts?
He'll probably go Christmas. His entries in Ireland and in the UK. Nothing's confirmed where we'll go yet. So we'll work this week and see where we go.
Jalan Dudari obviously was a good third in last year's champion bumper. Where are we likely, or when are we likely to see him?
You probably won't see him until January. He just pulled a muscle with me and I missed a bit of time. And he's back and working out, but I'd say you're not going to see him until January, if I'm not being honest.
And those, I suppose, the 2.5 mile novice hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival, Gordon, obviously it's produced some really good winners for yourself in the past. How does he compare with some of the winners that, I suppose, physically, mentally, and ability-wise that you've had in the past in that 2.5 mile novice hurdle division?
Look, he's a good horse, so he is. He's a good horse. He's a staying horse, Look, he hasn't ran over hurdles yet, but he came out with Donegal Isles. He jumps very well. We'll start him off in the maiden hurdle and see where we are.
The yellow clay, he looks all stamina, Gordon.
Yeah, imagine he'll go to Nate. I'd say, trip wouldn't be a problem, to be honest. And he looked like he needed all of 2.5 the last day in Navan, but we're happy with him.
Now, the other horse I wanted to ask you about, Woodhoo, because I think if I pronounced that correctly, Gordon, everyone was complimenting the training performance. She's still unbeaten. This looks a good mare.
Yeah, she's a good mare. She's 6'6" now over hurdles. She went up £8 for winning the other day in Cheltenham. So I'd imagine we'd probably just go straight to Cheltenham now for the Martin Piper.
Now, I wanted to ask you about Calypso Chance, because that listed bumper at Navan, we know the record you have in it, and we know the horses that have come out of the race. I suppose, how good is he?
Look, he's a nice horse. He's a big galloping horse. He doesn't do anything fancy at home, but he's been good his 2 runs. Patrick seemed to like him, so yeah, see what happens.
Dublin Racing Festival, would that be the plan for him?
I'd imagine that's where you go next year, Dublin Racing Festival, and then hopefully on to Cheltenham, all being well.
He Can't Dance, Gordon. Lovely start at Navan. Is he one, do you think, that we'll see in some of those graded bumpers, or are you going to mind him this season with a view to next?
He'll probably only have another run this season. I'm not sure he'll be a horse for Cheltenham. He's a horse for next year, really. You could maybe see him in Fairy House or something like that in a winner's bumper, and that maybe do him for the year,
Now, I know Noel Moore and Bective stood fantastic supporters of the yard and love winners around Navan. Really good the last day, Saffron Ware, and he's now favoured for the Paddy Power Handicap at Leopardstown.
No, we won't go for the Paddy Power. We won't go for Paddy Power, so we won't. We're going to keep him, and we'll probably... He's going to top weight in the Paddy Power, so we just left him alone, we might go back. He's got a nice mark over hurdles. He looks well in, so we look for a good pot over hurdles and we'll have a go at that,
Yeah, he certainly does look smart. I wish you all the best with him. And Magic Boom for obviously the Morans as well. Did she take you by surprise on debut with Navan?
She was taking on the boys. Obviously, Willie had a hot pot and he tumbled up. And the race kind of fell our way. She's a nice mare. She'll go serious New Year's Day for a novice hurdle. That's the plan, all being well.
And Kainsberg looks at a nice recruit from France.
Yeah, he works well at home, so probably start off there, Stephen, staying. Hopefully he'll run a nice race.
And Perfect Eyes, a store owned by Jigginstown, I believe.
Yeah, she's been disappointing. Or he's been disappointing, to be honest. So he's back there now. He probably won't run to the new year, but yeah, he's been disappointing.
Finally, Gordon, before we let you go, I wish you a very happy Christmas and all at Cullentra. I suppose horse you're most looking forward to seeing over the Christmas period.
Actually, look, we're looking forward to running Jerry back again and hopefully getting back to form. It looks a very strong division, so we'll see what happens.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
It's brilliant to hear from Gordon Elliott. Good luck to him with all his runners over Christmas. We have come to the last show of 2024 on Champ.ie. Don't forget, we'll be back in the new year with plenty more, building up, of course, the Cheltenham Festival. Barry, we've enjoyed the first part of the new season of Champ.ie. And, of course, I know you'll have a final message for all our listeners out there before we return back in January.
Yeah, very happy Christmas to everyone. And thank you once again to everyone who's been, I suppose, posting their comments, subscribing to the show for those who haven't already. Really helps us. We're really starting to gather momentum, Dave, building up to the Cheltenham Festival 2025, and look forward to the Monday shows and the Thursday shows after Christmas. The next, of course, Road to Cheltenham Challenge show will be on the 6th of January, and really looking forward to that once again. And let's hope we've pointed the viewers in the right direction, Dave, over the Christmas period. Hope everyone enjoys the turkey, enjoys the Guinness. From us, it's over and out, and we'll see you in 2025.